Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Saturday. I know I'm throwing the whole schedule off, at least what I've set up to be accustomed to, but as I said last message, I'm going with the flow, and yesterday I was out and about, and by the time I got in and got settled, I just didn't really have premium energy to come to the table. And I almost actually didn't come today either. At first I was feeling guided to just kind of fall back for the weekend, at least for today. But then suddenly I had a change of heart. So I'm definitely excited to see what message we get today, being it is November 2nd. And I wasn't aware that the Day of the Dead was 2 days. I knew it started on the 1st, but I saw on my calendar that it's today too. Actually, today was the day that it was actually marked on my iPhone calendar. But apparently it's the 1st through the 2nd. So if you celebrate, and that's particularly a part of your culture, certainly happy holiday to you. But of course, like, just the recognition of ancestors, way showers, guides, predecessors that have paved the path for us to walk a bit more easily is always welcomed on any given day. So I definitely have been taking this time to observe that energy in my own right, through my own, expressions, particularly if you have an altar, this is definitely a good time to clean it off, refresh it, put some of the elements out, water, fire, however you can captivate air, and earth, of course. Altars don't have to be anything too complicated, or mystical. It literally could just be a space of reverence for whatever you connect to as sacred. So on a day like this, of course, it could be ancestral connections, loved ones that have passed on, so on and so forth. And even the ones that you don't know, for that matter, as well, but certainly just a sacred space that reminds you to reverence life beyond our limitations is always a good thing. To remember that it's bigger than us. It always has been, and it always will be. Some things you could put in a space like that are flowers and water and fruit and bits of earth like rocks or shells or something grounding, money even to some extent, however you transmute the energy of money is a thing, matters, because some people may not, necessarily want to transmit the frequency of money as we come to know it onto a sacred space, but it certainly can be transmuted and transmitted. Anything just about can be sanctified in prayer and with divine intention. So I hope, if nothing else, if you don't have a space like that, you consider creating one, and it can just be a very simple, like no bigger than this table, even smaller, to be honest with you. I've never had a space this big to work with in all the spaces that I've created, and you'd be surprised what surfaces can become an altar when you have the intention to sanctify it, and sometimes in the strangest places, but it's more about the intention that it evokes in what should be your sanctuary, your home, and also within your physical being of a sanctuary or your temple as it is. And when you see it, when you engage it, what does it incite within you, So anyway, I was definitely slacking in my macking to some degree with the full moon message today as well. But the general idea of the full moon, I'm sorry, the new moon, pardon me, and Scorpio, which was yesterday, but we're still in the energy more or less, is that new beginnings are underway. We're at the threshold between closing old experiences, old cycles and seasons, and walking into something completely fresh. And if you believe that you are, you most certainly will be well prepared and equipped to make that transition successfully. And if there is anything left to be desired in that preparation, then you have all the support of Scorpio season to make the necessary transformations to feel comfortable in that flow. But chances are, if you're already intentional in a certain way, you're already right where you need to be and well on your way, even more progressively than you may even give yourself credit for. And particularly with this lunation, we got Saturn in retrograde in Pisces. So don't allow insecurities about how advanced you are, how far along you should be or aren't, or should have been by now, or anything like that. Or even given it's a new moon in Scorpio, feeling particularly pressured. Well, more so actually, it's another aspect, which is what was it? It's Mars. It's something moving into Mars. I can't remember the aspect now. Dang, I forget. But there's some aspect of transition into Mars that may incite you to feel like, you gotta hurry up and do something, move ahead, advance, seize the day, and it's empowered by it being a new moon, which gives you all the enthusiasm and the ambition, more or less, to want to hurry up and close something out so that you can start off on a fresh foot. But there's no rush here. That's definitely another theme that I picked up, is that there are so many, like, the transits and with this lunation right now is just really giving you the necessary tools and insights to plant the seeds that are necessary to begin fresh. But you don't necessarily have to feel like you should be seeing something bloom overnight, because that's just not even really typical. Now, some things that may have already been in the ground before now could begin to bloom and blossom in some unexpected or unsuspecting ways, for sure. But even as that begins to happen, it almost incites even more enthusiasm to want to, to accelerate that much faster when we get excited, like, oh yes, this is here. Now I can do this and that and that and this. And it's like, there's plenty of time for all of that, believe it or not. And the pressures of this particular transit might make you feel like you have to come to some type of rush decision, and, it's now or never, do or die. And maybe perhaps in some aspects you have some time pressing things, time sensitive things. But for the most part, especially with Saturn in retro, you got some time to move ahead productively and actively. What's the right word? Like progressively, that's not the word either, but to get active for sure, but also allow yourself the energy to still close out some things that may still be attached, or that you may still be attached to, that won't necessarily be most productive for your crossover, that threshold. It's kind of like it's kind of giving a little push-pull effect, which really isn't a push-pull. It's just a matter of going with the flow. The only thing that's really push-pull about it is our you know, our our eagerness to want to see results or have results turn out in a certain way in a particular time frame. But again, there's plenty of time as long as you are being productive and proactive, and also reflective and considerate of the big picture and all things that are, you know, that are in play. Not you Definitely not so tunnel vision and dead set on having things one particular way or another, but allowing yourself to be flexible with fate. It's inevitable. It's fate. It must play out, you know, so you just don't want to like pressure yourself more than necessary when everything is happening as fluidly as it's destined to do so at this point, you know. So that's pretty much it with that. You know, if I could just kind of sum it up, I think I got all the necessary points. Wow, and the Ace of Cups, yeah, it's the overflow. It's all coming together, and it's all springing forth in ways it's like drilling for oil, or in this case, I'm feeling like drilling in a way where you may have been drilling in a spot, maybe not even looking for oil, but you were, maybe you were digging for water, you know, digging wells or something, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, you know, this fountain of abundance springs forth, and it's more precious than anything that you thought you were in pursuit of, you know. So I don't know, I'm sensing something there. You know, there's something definitely divine about what you may be working on at this time. And you may be about to strike gold, you know, in the liquid form, meaning maybe even in love itself, you know, where you may be very focused on you know, career or money or achieving and goal setting, and maybe very goal oriented, or your stability, security, and then, you know, you having a very, again, talking about that tunnel vision, you know, drilling in one particular spot may actually spring forth something that you didn't even know you were in the market for. And you can accept that or receive that in multiple ways, especially when it's as abundant as this. You can see it as, you know, like kind of an inconvenience. You know what I mean? I don't know how you could ever strike gold or oil and feel like it's an inconvenience, but, you know, basically sometimes we can revere things in one way, at face value, because we were looking for something else and not really see the, you know, how precious it is that we came across something that we weren't looking for. And in this case, it could be love, where you're fixated and tunnel vision in one way, and maybe in that process, maybe as you're plugging away, and maybe some things are a bit resistant, but it puts you on the path to meet someone that is going to give you more of this than what you thought you were really looking for at this time, you know. So that's what I think I'm saying, that to really drive the point of being open-hearted and limber, allowing yourself to be pleasantly surprised, you know, and to really literally go with the flow, divine flow at this time, because your proactivity and intentions are definitely necessary in the co-creative covenant between you and the divine. But there are certain pleasantries of that realization that you may miss if you're not open to receive the fullness of your most supreme satisfaction, you know, and fulfillment. And that's more or less what this represents. This is something much deeper than money, you know, even more sustainable than passion and saturating than passion. Certainly has more depth than just knowledge itself, you know, of all the aces. This is unconditional love, you know, a very, very precious element that is often taken for granted, often disregarded and even discarded. But certainly, like I said, for you to happen upon it, particularly in your presence or in your force field, one way or another, it literally is like striking oil. Striking oil. Yeah, which many, you know, now at this point, this is like people now realizing the commodity that love is, and even just spiritual fulfillment, if we want to, you know, even more practical, of contentment, happiness, peace. You know, it's now being assigned a greater value in this season and time than it ever has been before, where the more tangible and material aspects of life have been weighted more preciously, or not really, I wouldn't say precious, but I don't know, profitably, I don't know. Yeah. And then here we go. We got and I was just talking about sword energy, but we got the Knight of Swords. It's like he's trying to go back for, you know, trying to reclaim some, maybe even just trying to understand, because I don't know if it's, sometimes with the Knight of Swords, I don't always get, oh, here's the Emperor. I don't always get the best of energy from the Knight of Swords. Sometimes it feels a bit entitled, and a bit aggressive. Let's see. Then we got the Justice card. Interesting. So much sword energy. Wow. Because the Justice card has a sword. Then we got the Queen of Swords. And then the center of it all is the Ace of Cups. Love, peace, happiness, fulfillment, understanding. Some of the things that are really hard to place a value on, because they're really, it is invaluable. You know, by definition, it actually is invaluable, because what it may be for one could be completely different for another, but what was true is that it's worth something. You know, it's worth a great deal, as a matter of fact, because everything springs from it. So we got the Knight of Swords, which is swooping in furiously, fast and furiously. Now on the other side, we got the Queen of Swords, who kind of seems to be it's like this Knight of Swords is trying to race. Interesting. So it's like the Knight of Swords is trying to race to the Ace of Cups, where the Queen of Swords is just open to it. So that's two different vibes going on here, where one feels is something that they need to seize, the other recognizes it as something that they just get to be open to receive and accept. Both with swords in their hands. And then you got the Emperor here. And that could be the ego behind the sense of entitlement that I feel here with the Knight of Swords. Like, he's the Emperor. Of course he should be entitled to unconditional love, you know? But is this an Emperor that leads with love to feel so entitled? If so, they wouldn't need to seize anything. This is almost like demanding love, commanding love even. Either demanding love be offered, you know, or submitted, or commanding it be subdued or apprehended in some way. Either way, it feels like an entitlement and like a control projection here of what someone may feel they should have access to. And the Knight of Swords sitting with the Justice card speaks to some level of fairness and like a right to this cup, this Ace of Cups. Like someone's in fair order or in compliance, or, you know, they both have swords, so there's some type of righteousness or alignment or rightfulness that has put someone in a position to have like a righteous expectation to receive for whatever reason. Because, I mean, the Queen of Swords isn't necessarily isn't necessarily emotionally driven either, any more than the Emperor might be. But it's the actions here that are speaking the loudest, and how it's zeroing in, again, that tunnel vision into the Ace of Cups, where this would be the one like feverishly drilling, you know, and on across a range of terrain, looking for an opportunity to strike oil, where the Queen of Swords more or less would just be, I don't know, conceptualizing, visualizing the possibility, perhaps, not necessarily looking to, I don't know, how do I want to say this? It's like the one that actually has the right to it is the most passive. You know, like her hand is open, but she's also a little bit guarded too as well. You know, but this is more aggression. Yeah, this is like a passive acceptance, and this is like an aggressive takeover. That's the difference between these two energies. Now, where the Emperor may feel that they have right by influence and by power, the Justice it's like the law and a covenant of some sort, like the contract is on the Queen of Swords side. So I've been talking about striking oil, so it could even really be about a property, you know what I mean, or something of high value, something that is precious, whether it's property or some type of heirloom or treasure, or something that two people one feels an absolute entitlement to the point where they'd be willing to fight for it, and the other feels an entitlement to it, but just more or less legally. Maybe their identity is actually attached to it. So this literally could be a contention between some type of some type of property. I don't know why it comes up as the Ace of Cups, maybe to signify the preciousness of it, rather than it being like the Ace of Pentacles, which is more definite and, you know, solid material. But whatever it is, the Queen of Swords has a claim to it. So much so that she doesn't have to be aggressive, because it's like her name is already attached to it, on it, it's already assigned to her, or whatever it is. There's no need to fight here as far as she's concerned. The law's on her side, but there's also some other powerful force that may be positioning themselves to be like in some type of tug of war, or just has been positioning themselves to be resistant to that reception. Because otherwise it's just as easily as like, okay, it's yours, okay, you receive it, you got it. But there's more effort that seems to need to be asserted over here to see something, or to take something that to me is like clearly denotes that it must not be assigned, or must not be, you know, there must not be a rightful transference of this energy here. Because if it was, then it wouldn't be much to fight for. You wouldn't have to fight so hard, pretty much. You wouldn't have to be so aggressive. It would be more natural. And that kind of goes into what I was saying about, and here's the Aries energy, as I was saying something about Mars that's going on. This is Libra, of course. But that's what I was saying about that urge that you may feel incited to want to hurry up and do something, or get something done, or have something move forward in your favor, or whatever, or even seize something, because Aries can be very aggressive. Mars energy can be very aggressive and proactive. But I mean, just looking at these two ends of the spectrum, when something is already working in your favor, as I said, when the fates are in your favor anyway, you ain't got to work that hard. You don't have to stress yourself. And I'm not saying you don't have to do anything, but you don't have to overwork yourself to the point of exhaustion for something that is rightfully destined to be. And that could be for love, that could be for some type of possession or transference of money, property, something of value. That could be for position, you know, because this could even be a fight for some position of power. This could even be like a trophy, you know, for recognition, for rewards. Anything that is a part of your divine design and is assigned to your destiny, more or less flows with your intention to stay in alignment with it. Just as sure as this Chariot card, it's like unstoppable. You know, it's as long as you have the will to see it through, to keep your eyes on the prize, and also, you know, monitoring your peripheral, your surroundings, you know, considering what the big picture may be, or where you may be redirected, or whatever the case may be. This is like warrior stance with the Chariot, where you're not just looking at one man on the battlefield. You're surveying the entire terrain, you know, considering all the possibilities and allowing yourself to be guided from that supreme intel as to how you advance, and sometimes how you retreat, or just, you know, remain at ease. And that's what this energy is giving me here. It's like you don't have to attack what is already meant for you. All right, so let's see what else we got here. We got the tricksters. Up under the justice. Let me see what's on the bottom. So this could, it could be, again, this could quite practically be someone that has some type of access or influence, maybe even perhaps in the justice system or in whatever the on whatever the formalities of this, whatever, I don't know, this gift or opportunity, or I don't even know what to call it. To be honest, I don't know what this Ace of Cups is. Maybe it's fluid because it means something different. Well, I think I said something along those lines, like even love itself has a different value. The value of it is subjective to whomever is the beholder, so the Queen of Swords, the Knight of Swords may have different perceptions and intentions of whatever this is. But either way, we got the Seven of Swords here. That is someone that goes a great length to be deceptive, maybe even to lie, in the court of law, or lie to try to manipulate the formalities in their favor, whether it's paperwork or a court case, a hearing, a ruling, a settlement, like a will, an inheritance, like whatever it is that they would try to manipulate in their favor, to keep someone from attaining this level of security, which in this case would be that could be the transference of whatever this Ace of Cups is, where somebody is like cool, set, taken care of, not worrying, like content here, fully content. It means a lot for some. This is the ambition behind this side of the board, where it's more ego-driven than anything. And again, a control factor to say that this is the property of whatever and whomever this energy is, before it gets to be the property of, or the possession of, the Queen of Swords, whom it rightfully belongs to, because God forbid she received that fairly and justly, and it add value to her life. So the Seven of Swords is somebody here that still, may be sneaky and deceptive, because this is more like this is more like someone's aggression, proactively, like what you can actually see of them being on the other side. To some degree, it's like it's not all that hidden, but this is something that would be like underhanded, doing something that is not so easily detectable, or like perhaps even, again, aside from the lying or making up stories or trying to fabricate some corruption or collusion, could actually be using their power and influence in high places to sway decisions in their favor. A judge, a lawyer, a court clerk, or something like that. Any person they could possibly connect to, quite honestly. What's under here? Ooh, and the death card. Yep, trying to bring an end to someone's security. Well, that's not going to end well. I can tell you that. Because the Seven of Swords always leave some evidence behind in their trails that usually ends up, yeah, exactly. There's always some witness to their, that like they just always leave a trail, you know, that leads right back to their incrimination in some way, shape, or form. And in this case, especially if it's through the arrogance, but the faulty and feistiness of the Knight, that's the spirit of the energy here with the Knight of Swords, like somebody that's just so fast and furiously pursuing something. They're bound to leave some tracks in their wake that ultimately will be assessed and used against them, you know, so they ultimately become their own whistleblower. Yeah, Fool card. Moving too hastily without wise regard, in this case, too fast to, you know, too too, what's the right word? I don't even know, but just wanted to have this new opportunity so bad, this new beginning, that they're just failing to really read the signs and signals around them. You know, like the handwriting could very well be on the wall, like, oh, I wouldn't do that if I were you, or oh, that person isn't really trustworthy, or oh, they might tell you that they have access to change this or do that or make a decision in your favor, but really they probably don't, or that somebody might actually be watching you doing what you're doing, but you're not paying attention because what? Your tunnel vision is on one particular thing. So you don't see the danger and the threats around you until it's too late. So this is somebody that's actually observing or witnessing whatever this infraction may be. This could literally be somebody breaking the law with the Seven of Swords, creating some type of crime, or doing something that is illegal or immoral at the very, very least, that they think nobody sees or that they think they've gotten away with, but there are witnesses, or there is a witness. And with that Page of Swords being under the Queen of Swords, that's a witness in favor of that side. Oh, and the Chariot came back out. Yeah, because love always wins. The truth always wins. The divine's will be done always, no matter what the resistance may position itself to be, the so-called enemy or obstinate energy, opposition, objectors. You know, like love will always have a built-in defense system that is foolproof. That whatever it is that is assigned to be relinquished to whomever, especially that is attached to any destined favor or fortune, will always be protected until it gets to where it's supposed to be. And that could take lifetimes to occur, you know, before it would completely be, you know, it could take lifetimes to get to that before it would completely be a loss. Because once it's divined by fate, it can't be retracted. You know what I mean? Like it has to be, and those that feel that they have any entitlement to it or may have had any access to it, at least from their perspective, it's like even with this energy here, for there to be this spirit of entitlement, it still puts someone in a position to always have to be in aggressive mode to either apprehend it or to maintain it. Because if it doesn't rightfully belong to whomever is laying unlawful claim to it, it's never going to easily stay in that frequency. It'll always, like the spirit will always be looking to reroute it and redirect it back to where it was intended to be. So it's like, say you had somebody trying to withhold an inheritance from you or some type of property or, you know, money, accounts, whatever it is, like whatever this is, you have somebody trying to withhold that from you. And they may have done a job doing so, at least keeping it from you if they haven't had possession of it themselves. They may have done a great job at that for some time, but it wouldn't be without great stress and pressure and strain to do so. It would take a lot of work. That's why it looks so like so much labor over here, so intense, as opposed to the Queen of Swords, who sitting in her identity is just always open to receive at some point in time. You know what I mean? Because wherever, it's like somebody using all of the energy that they have and all the resources and influence and power that they have to hold possession of a thing or to obstruct transference of a thing to someone else, until eventually, you know, the right life cycle or life season comes around. And this could even be the police, not why I'm saying this. And the right, you know, like I said, there's always some evidence left behind, even when someone thought they were being careful before. And that'll be the right moment for justice to finally play out in the favor of fate, for that transference to happen as it was always supposed to, even if it was delayed a couple lifetimes or a couple years or a couple seasons longer than you know, generally would seem fair, let's say. It always makes it back to where it's going, you know. And in this case, like, let's speak spiritually, this could be about like an anointing, you know, someone being particularly gifted to express themselves. Literally, the swords could be expression, to express themselves a certain way. And for someone, it's like it takes a lot of effort to fabricate that anointing in a way that gives them a platform or a seat or some type of position or upper hand. Whereas someone that does so naturally, this is like effortless here, because that anointing is assigned to them, that gift, that talent, that grace is assigned to them. They do it almost with ease or without even, you know, thinking about it. So it's not a chore, you know, and therefore what is attached to that anointing flows to them with ease, because that's what all is, and is contractually aligned with who they are and who they're designed to be in this lifetime. This is like somebody trying to move in a frequency of expression, you know, like playing the emperor or playing, you know, somebody particularly skilled, you know, in one way or another. Like they're playing, you know, fabricating that energy, and it's giving them a seat of power and position, but they don't really possess the skill sets to truly be that naturally. And this could be someone that doesn't necessarily have the power, obviously, compared to the emperor, or well, I won't say not the power, but definitely not the position and the influence that someone has propped themselves up to have and has seized and acquired for themselves. But what they do is so effortless so natural, I should say, that it makes a greater impact. And so therefore the divine, only, underwrites that and progresses it, advances it forward, and even in an even more accelerated way. And also, of course, there's the protection that comes along with it. There's a grace that comes along with a designated anointing that those that are operating outside of that or trying to operate in someone else's don't have. It's the difference between the Knight of Swords up against the Chariot. It's this faulty energy here in the Seven of Swords. Like, not only are you bound to be exposed and perhaps even exploited, but you're also in harm's way. Like, you're not protected in this case. You are your well-being is actually quite threatened. In this case, somebody's actual freedom may be in jeopardy, depending on what they're doing and who sees it, and if not actually so, definitely spiritually so. Yep, Knight of Swords, exactly, because that would be the expression of the Knight of Swords. I'm sorry, King of Swords, the Knight of Swords. But this is somebody that would rather like bypass their Knight of Swords anointing. That would probably be more of a natural transmission, because they want to be the emperor. They want to have all the power, all the control, all the influence. It's just not enough to be who they were destined and designed to be. They want more. So it's something about that here, like this tension between position and power and what is just natural. Well, I should say this tug of war between power and position, because this is the power influence over here, where someone feels like they have the strength to pull it in their direction, but the position is already fulfilled by whomever it's assigned to. There is no need to tug in the other direction when it just naturally belongs to you and it's naturally, effortlessly expressed. That just makes another side have to work that much harder until they eventually exhaust themselves. Here's the Ace of Pentacles. Now that would have been dope if it came out right up under the Ace of Cups, because that's what I've been trying to really put my finger on, like, what is that? But here is the tangibility of it all. This is like divine provision and opportunity and security and prosperity. Like, again, this is what someone wants to have. This is the objective. However, it comes by way, the aces in general come by way of your own authenticity and the pureness of your intentions, not something that's fabricated or synthetic. So someone could be, it's like somebody that did a great deal to gain the material expression of affluence and power and whatever it looks like, right? To put themselves in that expression of prosperity. And then realize, as I said in the beginning, like, oh shoot, the sustainability of it is through this Ace of Cups. So now it's like they're trying to, through this anointed energy. So it's now like somebody, and that's so funny, like imagine, it literally is like just aimlessly drilling for oil and on random terrain. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's kind of, it's to happen upon oil now at this point in time is virtually like fantastical, because it's not like it was when it was first, a thing. So someone now like trying to chase after this well of wealth, so to speak, is so strange to me, because it's still them objectifying it as something that's outside of them, when it really is an internal commodity. So they still don't get it. You know what I mean? It's like they thought this was, the outside was reflective of their greatest self, of themselves in supreme energy. They realize that it's not necessarily that, because this is not sustainable. This is fleeting. It's here today, gone tomorrow. They realize it's this expression of the commodities that aren't tangible, but they're still looking to seize it and capture it from the outside as well, when they haven't quite gotten the memo that no, this is cultivated from your internal well. That's why the Queen of Swords sits naturally like, that's just a part of me over there. So it ain't, it's nothing. It's just, I can command it be projected outside of me just as much as I can command it be transferable through me, because I am it is me. This person is still looking outside, trying to figure out, where can I get it? Like, where can I strike gold over here? Could even be like encountering different sensational people in a certain type of way to glean from their energy, to source it and repurpose it for themselves or on themselves, or even just to use it up, to transfer that energy to whatever it is they got going on. But those days are pretty much over. Like I said, you will always leave tracks to what you're really about now. Maybe not so much, maybe it's taken a while to get here, but now it's like you can kind of sniff out at least the highest commodities of energy are more keen in their senses now, to actually be able to sniff out who's really, a snake oil salesman or siphoner, I should say, than they actually are someone that's looking to, add value or be any projection of good at all in this case, opportunistic, or however you want to put it. So it's like now those that used to be a little bit more sly, sneaky, under the radar, their cover is kind of blown, or they're just not as caped and masked as they used to be anymore. It's like once the word got out, and now it's damn near overused, but once that word narcissist like hit the mainstream, it was over for people in this energy, because like I said, even though it's a bit oversaturated and overused, people are way much too on high alert at this point to be completely taken for granted in the ways that they used to be able to. Like, people are even hypersensitive to those types of frequencies now, and overprotective in some ways. And I can't necessarily say it's a bad thing. It's probably just the way the scales are balancing so that the equilibrium is restored again, because people have been so aggressively deceptive for so long and taking what doesn't belong to them, that there needs to be a reset and a reestablishment of fairness and a restoration of that natural energy again that is assigned to those that should rightfully possess it, So it's all fair, it's all working out for the best across the board. And where even for those that may feel at a disadvantage from their greatest advantage at a time, it ultimately still, as I like to think, is pointing them in a direction, again, to that internal source that they've been so desperately seeking outside of them for far too long. Maybe now they'll actually be redirected to where that well truly does spring forth. Right up under him here, where the true value is. It's with you, buddy. It was with you all along. Yeah, the World card, it's the end, like all that I just said, like the end of that incessant deception and manipulation and unfairness and taking advantage of people unassumingly, and exploitation, corruption. Slowly but surely, it is definitely becoming its own worst enemy. So yeah, so that we can all evolve into just a new experience of life now. All right, let's see, one more, and I think I'm done. Hey, and there she is. And that Ace of Pentacles plus the 9 is the 10. Nothing lost, nothing limited. Here we go. Independence, security, fulfillment restored, and even on the material, in a material sense. Yeah. Because as I said, when you're operating in your divine frequency, the reward, first of all, is in that intention first and foremost, and in that will, but the tangible return is secured. Like, you don't have to contemplate how you're going to support yourself, and if you'll have enough to sustain yourself in the material world, doing the things that you feel designed to do on a spiritual level, or even just energetically enlivened to pursue, because those two energies go hand in hand. Literally, it's like those that accept their anointing, their calling, as a part of their identity, and honorably so, without creating any casualties or confusion intentionally upon anyone else, in that process, they can count on the return and the reward materializing in a very fortunate and favorable way here. It was always a no-brainer. Like I said, even if there was resistance, even if there was interference, it might have taken a little bit more time than what was intended or what would be ideal for whomever was in the experience, but it was always going to be as it was destined to be, and so it is. Ace of Pentacles, 9 of Pentacles. And there's nothing that anybody can do to stop that. Like I said, it could take lifetimes before it's realized. And each breath of life, someone will always be incited to find their way to that path, one way or another, when they're open to, their anointing or their destiny or their gifting, their purpose. They'll always find their way. It literally doesn't matter how many distractions and interruptions and interferences there are. And with the Emperor and the Knight of Swords, that could even be a strong interference, of opposition. But as long as someone alivens in each new vessel or in each new season to decide, as the Queen of Swords does, very certainly and objectively, that this is their priority, the Ace of Cups, they will always find themselves walking in that way of love where there are far more rewards, you know, as I said, just in the intention to walk that way, because that's where the security and the protection lies, then even it matters to say it is material. You know, if someone never got to this coin in one life or the next, just the covering and the protection that this yields by their purest and most righteous intentions is invaluable itself. And that's what some energies don't get. They're still going about it the hard way, when it doesn't have to be that hard or aggressive or exhausting. That's the world's projection of that concept to keep more people distracted from this pure influence, and therefore more people disconnected from this ultimate fate. Five of Swords. Exactly, the distraction, exactly. But here's the strength. There's no match. There's no match. When somebody is focused, and in each cycle of life, each cycle and season, gaining strength from their experiences, ascending, growing, learning from, you know, literally gaining strength from the resistance itself. That is the gift, quite honestly, when you have the will, the mind, the heart, the spirit, the soul to stay in that frequency no matter what. It's only a matter of time, even a matter of lifetimes, before it materializes. Because someone that is insistent to stay in this energy, like say a previous life where you had so many obstacles and so many enemies and aggressors that maybe you never became wealthy or rich or even found your way to a certain level of security where you were fulfilled in a material sense. But to the end of your breath, you were insistent to stay in the frequency of love, no matter what. You never retaliated to, you know, fall in, to resort to the frequencies of your opposition. You never resorted to rage or vengeance or, you know, not particularly, or at least you didn't end your days that way, let's say. You found some level of balance and dedication and commitment to the covenant of creativity between yourself and the divine. Well, you're going to awaken with, first of all, you would have had the protection through that life to be resilient through even the worst of times, in a way that if you had done the opposite, you probably would have faltered much sooner. So that's one thing. But when you alive into whatever the next opportunity may be, whether it is a season, a cycle, or a lifetime, all of that energy invested comes with you. Everything that you did before now transfers to where you awaken it yet again. So some of us have been doing this for lifetimes, you know, and more or less meeting the same characters along each pathway, but with each, you know, round on the battlefield, so to speak, or each turn of a life, you've gained momentum, you've gained strength, you've gained wisdom, and you continue to transcend and ascend beyond the limitations that were opposed the time before. And so that's what continues to evolve the spirit even more naturally and effortlessly. Because like I'm saying, when it's natural to you, eventually it finds its way to you, even if there are obstructions. And when you're open to receive it and already decisive to, to settle for nothing less, it's a no-brainer. So if you were to finish out this lifetime strong with nothing materialized of your fortune, your favor is what is so precious to carry you into the next, that you would alive that much more resilient, that much more knowledgeable, and already farther advanced along than you were before, just for that good karma. And again, that fortune carrying over right where you left off. Eventually, you'll find your memory will, that muscle memory will return as you grow older and wiser. And nowadays, the kids are coming here already knowing, and having much less resistance, especially depending on the type of parents you have, to finding their way to that, to their divine identity, realigning with it, intentionally in the human form, to the point where there's becoming less of a transitional period. But for those that have had to transition, and find their way back to their truth, back to their anointing, back to their, their true value and their true identity, you probably have advanced so much in such a more accelerated rate this time around than maybe even lifetimes before. And the good thing about this time around is that it's unwavering. There is no, for those of us that are like steadfast, there is no wavering on that path at this point. There's not enough fear in the world to hold us in contempt from our divine creativity in this lifetime, so that before there is, an expiration of any sort, the seed has already been planted in this lifetime to be so well assured and asserted in your divine identity that there's no such thing as an insecurity, an a resistance. It's like it's defeated. You're too strong at this point. And it would be, to be taken out at this rate of intelligence and wisdom and strength would actually probably be more of a detriment to any adversary at this time than it would imagine how much stronger you would emerge, already knowing that you have, full capacity to be so and to do so. It's not like, I think I'm kind of strong, I think I'm powerful, and then everything in your lifetime that shows you that you're not, and there be no materialization to prove otherwise. You know what I mean? Like, you have no real evidence of your power and your strength and your influence. It's like this lifetime, all the evidence in the world is presenting itself to the point where, and even if it's not in like a money fashion, you know what I mean? Like, now when I'm seeing this is far more spiritual than I was giving it credit for. Of course, it always kind of is, but I always try to make it more practical. But it is materializing in a way, even if it's not necessarily money. But the oil that's been struck is this unwavering confidence and security in self. And again, that reestablishment of the covenant between self and the divine, where there is no separation. There's no chasm where opposition can establish themselves in corruption, to corrupt your perception otherwise about yourself. There's too much evidence, even before the fortune or the wealth may have materialized. And if it hasn't yet, it certainly is, as you live and breathe. But the evidence is so profound now with the Justice card. The evidence is so profound at this point that there's no way to prove, there's no way to disprove the truth from what has been revealed to be within you for the most part. There's no way. Try as they may to be a projection of insecurity or instability, or to have you second guess yourself, or to be afraid, or in any way that there could be a projection to oppose your divine truth, is already defeated, because it's left too much evidence of how fictitious it actually is. It's like the mask is off, the veil is drawn, the wizard behind the curtain is fully exposed to be just a mere man, and there's nothing to be afraid of anymore. There never was, and there never will be again. So now that is the truth, and that is the New World Order, it's like you can only be regenerated in an even more powerful state. Beyond that, there's no regression. So I don't know what they're gonna do about that, but I'm excited, and I hope you are too, at this threshold here of expressing yourself as you were designed and divine to be, with no apologies and no inhibitions, just your pure, raw, thank you, Scorpio, divine energy. There it is. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.